What's up, everybody? Peace. Peace, peace. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know a yeah you can hear me. How y'all doing tonight? Let me give y'all a second to kind of hop on for a minute. All right, cool, cool. Peace, 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 peace. Y'all can hear me? I'm good. My sound good. Let me know that y'all can hear me. Let me know y'all can hear me. Just my chair a little bit. All right. Give y'all a second to kind of hop in real quick. We're going to hit this topic. I ain't going to hold y'all for too long, but we definitely have to discuss our film that we feature that we're speaking on tonight, the movie Dr. Sleep. Y'all let me know if y'all check that out. Y'all watch Dr. Sleep? It's free on Tubi. It's free on Tubi right now. It's free on Tubi. Dr. Sleep. Thank you. I appreciate that. Eboticus, I appreciate that. All right, I'm glad. I appreciate the feedback. Virginia, much love. Peace, peace, peace to y'all. Peace. Now, before I do hop into it, I just want to say, if you purchase the energy report, please check your email. You should have received it. So if you purchase one of those, you should have received it. So I want to throw that out there first. Kind of get the business affairs out there. So, everybody ready? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this discussion because I don't want to keep y'all too long. I kind of got on later than I wanted to. Well, we're going to go ahead and get this discussion going. So we talking about the movie Dr. Sleep. Now, Dr. Sleep is free for you to watch on Tubi. You can pull it up on your phone. You can get the app. You can go to it on your computer, a streaming device, whatever. Tubi is completely free. The movie's there, Dr. Sleep. Now, Dr. Sleep is the sequel to the movie The Shining. Now, The Shining is also on Tubi. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all familiar with The Shining. It's pretty much a cult classic in terms of horror films. Jack Nicholson. So this is the sequel that follows the son, Danny, afterwards. Now, of course, it's Stephen King, so y'all know Stephen King. All of his stuff is based on books or what have you. So some of you all may have some of you may have read the book. Okay, some of y'all may have read the book. Now, I do want to say, I'm kind of keeping this direct and to the point because on my YouTube, I already broke this movie down extensively for over an hour. So you can go check that out. And the link is in my story. So if you really want to, like, in every piece of the movie, there's a breakdown for that for those of y'all who want to go deeper into it. But it's interesting because I made a post earlier today and I was talking about being humble, right? How people will say be humble, right? And you know, it's quite expected for some people to be kind of triggered by that because it's something that we kind of traditionally, you know, kind of taught to be humble. And, you know, I referenced it to light shining. And the reason why I did that because it does correlate with what we're going to talk about in this movie, Dr. Sleep. So I'm going to come back to that and I'm going to make my point in it. Now, if you've seen the movie, if you watch the movie, you know it's all about the essence or the shining or this specialness, this special light, this special, you know, ability, psychic energy that's in kids. So in The Shining, you know, the boy was Danny. So when you get to Dr. Sleep, Danny, after they briefly show us him in the beginning as a child, then we follow him as an adult. And what happens after all of that had occurred. So it's a lot of occult gems in this movie. It's a lot of different things that's touched on in this movie. Now, like I said, one of the main things was the way, the pureness how the how kids, or how the essence of them was being fed on. And that's a very, very real thing. And it can be real, it can be uncomfortable for people, So I do, want to warn you, if you haven't watched it, that it is a horror film about about preying on children. Now, the reason why this is an important movie is because it has a very hidden message in it that correlates to what's going on in the world. And there's levels to it as well. Because we're all familiar, we know human trafficking, the disappearance of children, things of that nature is a very, very real thing. And it's very much on the rise. Even so much so that it's really creeping into a lot of common places of conversation. So when people bring up adrenochrome and things of that nature, this movie shows you what that is, shows you why that is, and show you how they pursue it. Now, one of the things about it, astral traveling, astral projection, right? It shows you vampirism, the essence of the way that they eat, the way that they pray. That's how it goes in the astral world. That's real. That's really how the astral realm is. That's real vampirism. We talking about the movie Doctor Sleep. It's preying on your essence. That's why they had to keep the child in fear. So the one moment when they showed you their ritualistic way of consuming, right? They gave you a lot of gems because they said they had to keep them in fear. The fear and all of that makes the steam, or as they called it, the steam. But as we know it from The Shining, it's called the shine. And what it was further come to be called in this movie was magic. Because the girl, her name was Abra. I mean, it's like abracadabra. She saw her abilities as a gift, as magic. So in essence, you got to look at the comparison between these two, between how they both came into inheriting or becoming aware of their ability. So Danny went through a very traumatizing event in terms of coming into his psychic ability. Mind you, he was 5 years old. So what they showed you in the very beginning was very important, because that's why he didn't want to shine. Because he told him, he said, I'm not going to shine. It's too dangerous. See, he felt like that because his own father turned on him. So you got to think about what the father represents in the psyche. Remember, every time you watching a movie or you're reading a story, every character in the story is an aspect of the psyche. So everything is all really just one. Okay. So that's why he didn't want to shine. That's why he did everything completely self-destructive to turn his shine down, because his own father turned against him and tried to kill him. So when your life is that type of trauma, and at 5 years old, that was in his foundation. So in all in that of him, in him going through that as he became an adult, and they showed us him as an adult, he just did things. He drank alcohol, he did drugs, he did whatever he could do to suppress that energy, to push that down. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of us turn to our addictions or self-destructive behaviors to turn our own light down. See, the way the shadow is, see, you got to think about it. See, his light was buried in his shadow. The girl's light wasn't buried in her shadow. She didn't have any reason to feel the need to hide her shadow. The only time she felt like that was when she used it and her parents couldn't understand it. That was it. But for the most part, they had a complete opposite thing. So she was ecstatic. She was excited about her ability. She was ready to stand up for herself. She set a trap for her when she came for her. Now, the lady in the hat is very symbolic too, because the whole essence of the hat representing like the crossroad, we can look at it like that's just a way of representing dark energy. That's just a way of representing dark in terms of an imbalance. Darkness or evil is always disharmony. So And if you notice, that's just like with the girl too. So everything that they did was just to consume, just to continue to live the way that it is that they wanted to live, right? So then what else was it? The astral projection, that's in there, the astral traveling, the protection. You gotta understand psychic protection. So that was why he said in the clip that I shared, he was like, listen, you have to Violet was the first girl's name. That was the very first girl who got taken. Her name was Violet. Yeah, she had shine. See, they always took kids who had a special ability. Even the boy who played baseball, he had like an intuitive nature. It helped him with playing baseball because that's what we have in us. It's just what's natural with us. Our natural abilities that we have comes from our inner self. So that's what they did. And this one girl, she was so powerful. She was powerful the way that Danny was powerful, to the sense, because that's why everything was trying to come after him the way it did in The Shining, because of what it was. And let me see what else I want to say about the movie. Now, so with The Shining, so at the close, he kept telling Abra, because she reached out to him, she connected. It was his shine that brought him to her. If you notice when you watch the movie, every time there's like a boom boom, a boom, it sounds like a heartbeat. Every time you hear that, that's the shine. It's trying to let you know that it's a special energy that's being used. That's what brought him to the place that it brought him to. Everything that happened whenever he did use his shine. So when he told her, he was like, he didn't even want to talk through his mind, through the mind. He was doing everything he could not to use his shine. And he would tell her, you have to put your head down. These people will come for you. So in essence, he was telling her he was humbling, trying to humble her energy. He was telling her, you shining too bright, you're gonna attract these creatures or these beings that's gonna be after your light. And he felt that way because of his own trauma. So when people tell you that, they telling you that out of their own trauma. He had to overcome his own issues. He had to fight not to go back to that bottle when he thought he lost her. You know? So, and by the time we got to the end, he told her, no, don't do that. You shine bright. And after he told her that, that's when she was able to open up to her mother. And she was like, daddy's okay on the other side. And it allowed her to, because every time you suppress that part of you, you lose it. And that's what happened to him over the years, even though it was still there, because once she realized what was in him, she wanted to consume him too, because he still had a whole lot of it in him. No matter what he tried to do to himself, no matter how much alcohol and drugs he had put in his body, he still had that shine. He still had it. So that was the whole thing. When it came back around full circle, he was like, no, you gotta shine. You supposed to shine, because if you don't shine, then they're still winning, because you're not being what you put here to be. You understand what I'm saying? So when people say that to you, that's a projection. That's a projection. So you gotta know that that's their own insecurity speaking to you. There's something that's inhibiting them from being able to shine in their own true light. So therefore, all they can do is project that on out to you, because they lack the awareness to realize that within themselves. And that's what he came around to at the end and realized, was like, nah, you shine. Because she was willing and she was ready. Hey, she was stronger than her anyway. She was stronger than her. That's why it got to the point where she knew she had to, she was like, I can't even bring her into the group, because she just knew how powerful she was. She just knew. So, like the whole thing with that and the shining, the magic, what makes you you, you can't allow anything to take that from you. Now, don't get me wrong. It's going to attract that opposing energy. It has to, and it's going to, but it serves you best to be prepared for that, versus to just put your head down and just, not want to not want to do it. So that's why he taught her still how to do it, how to put the people in the box, or how to put those energies in the box, because they're gonna come. So you have to know how to psychically defend yourself, because the danger is real. The fear is an illusion, but the danger itself can be a real thing. It can be a real thing. This is what he said. This is a dark and hungry world, and it eats what shines. That's very true. That's how the astral world works. It ain't no fun, cozy rainbow. It's not like that at all. It's eat or be eaten. It's a very predatory thing. It's just like watching nature. Every time I start thinking something is sweet, I look at nature videos. Look at nature itself. Like, it just is what it is. It's not about it being good or bad. It just is what it is. And you always have to be aware of that. But that's real vampirism. That's real vampirism, is consuming your essence, consuming what makes you really you. It's not really about sucking blood. Not really, not for real. No, it's really about praying and eating on your essence. So that's what I mean when I say don't become food out here. It's eat or be eaten. Because when you don't know, like, and when you shine and when you allow other people to dim your light, they eat. That's consumption. That's consuming your light. They winning. That's them preying on your light. Because only you can turn your light off. Only you can do that. So when you allow the outside world to influence you about your light, then they eating off of you. They taking from you. They consuming from you. So that's just how it kind of go. And you're gonna attract it. You have to know that. Like, it's this is a dual world. So know both ways. This is always about spiritual warfare. Always has and always will be. It's spiritual warfare. It's way more spiritual than it is physical. Because if you can defeat the mind anyway, then you already really won. It was like the Dementors in Harry Potter. That's kind of, yeah, that's a good analogy. It was like that. It was like that. You're right about it. So but it's one of those movies where you'll catch things, the more you watch it, you'll catch things here and there. And I'm just going off of memory right now. Just like even being inside of the people's minds, knowing how people's minds are filled, and how she was able to get inside of her mind and get information out of her mind. Like, all of that is a real thing, the astral projection. But like I said, Abra, she stood up in her power. She never once felt that it wasn't a good thing. That was the difference between her and Danny. See, he felt like, man, this shit bad, man. My daddy trying to kill me, man. I don't want this. I don't want to shine like this. I'm never gonna shine. Forget shining, bro. This dangerous. You 5 years old. 5 years old. So that's in your foundational period. Like, that's forever with you. Because the first 7 years of your life is the root foundation of your psyche. So from the very beginning, think of that. That's the sun masculine energy of destruction. That's why he drank. That's why he did. That's why all of the decisions that he made. And if you notice, they showed you the timeline. The development of Abra was also, you could see the growing or the arc in Danny. You could see him becoming a better person. You could see him becoming better the older she got. And so the older she got and the more her powers grew, then she was able to reach out to him. See, the universe it's only about expansion. It's all about expansion. But see, it's different. The way we interpret our experiences is what make us human. That's our human experience, how we interpret it. But it's all about expanding you. So to sometimes, depending on your experience, some people may take that as a test, or as in going through a suffering. But it's just the process of you expanding. Just like the universe, they tell you the galaxy, the universe is always expanding. That's you too. Everything is always trying to push you to expand. So even so, it depends on where you are in alignment with yourself. Sometimes, hey, that also means that the bad in us can expand too. But it's a good movie, you know. Like I said, it's a lot of gems in the movie. And this is Doctor Sleep. But all of you who are recently joining is Doctor Sleep. So we talking about the movie Doctor Sleep, and it's a full breakdown on it on my YouTube. The Power of the Quantum Mind, looking at the movie Doctor Sleep. So it's a very powerful movie. You know, very powerful. Lets you know the power of your mind, but it also lets you know how powerful trauma can be and how much that can cause you to suppress yourself. See, Danny had to go into his shadow to get his light out because he, through his trauma, suppressed it because he felt it needed to be pushed away and saw it as bad. See, it's not always bad things that we put in our shadow. Sometimes we put our good in our shadow because we are in environments that don't cater to that good, that feels threatened by our good or threatened by our light. And so we innately can suppress that nature, especially when we are young, especially in our youth, because that's when it happens, in your youth, because we naturally just want to be loved, we want to be nurtured. We have to be from those ages, from those foundational ages. That's what it is. So that's how our character is formed and created. That brings about your character. And again, y'all can check this movie out on Tubi. But it was a very slept on movie. Like, I think when it came out, I didn't even hear about it when it came out. It was something that me and my husband just came across. But it's one of those movies. It's one of those movies. But it can be terrifying because of, on the surface, what it is on the surface. But it's deeper than that. It's a lot deeper than that. And to think it's deeper than being scared by understanding the abduction of children by certain particular groups. So it hits on a lot of different levels. It hits on a lot of different levels. But that's ultimately the reason why we are seeked out, why we have so many missing children. You know, what did he say on American Guys? Every 30 seconds, a young black or brown girl is snatched. Every 30 seconds, that's a crazy statistic. That's a crazy statistic when you truly think about it. Why is that? So it's deeper. It's deep. It's deep because everybody know who and what you are, but you. So when you don't know, when you don't realize what you are, so yeah, sometimes, I'm not gonna front that. I don't appreciate that. Be humble. I don't be appreciating it because you ain't got the authority to ever say that. If you don't know me, you won't deal every step. You can't tell me that because you don't know what I overcame. You don't know how long I dim my light. You don't know how long I put my light in the shadows. You don't know how long it took me to be comfortable shining my light. You don't know that. So you don't have the authority to do that. I don't have the authority to do that to nobody else. I'm not the author of your story. You're not the author of my story. You can't tell me that when you don't know where I've been. You can't ever say that to me. That's only for my creator to humble me in the ways that needed necessary, not for nobody else. You projecting onto me because you don't know my story. How can you know my story? You don't know what I've been through. I might have been holding myself back for decades and finally able to step out and be confident in my light. So no, I don't think nobody had the authority to tell nobody, be humble. Nah, no, don't ever say that to me. Not if you weren't there, no. And very few people was there. Very few people was there. If you weren't there, no. Now that don't mean go be arrogant. You gotta have balance. You gotta be grounded. It don't mean say, hey, go stun on everybody because you can. No, I'm not saying that. But at the same time, a lot of people say that out of projection. You projecting on me, man, because you don't know me. You don't know me now. I'm just celebrating myself. If you offended by me celebrating myself, I don't know, sound like a personal problem. So I don't know. I feel that's me. I have to take that personal because that come with my journey. You feel me? So that come with my journey. So that's why I have to say it like that because I look at it different. It take a lot for some people been through a lot. Like I said, some people been through a lot to feel comfortable and confident enough to let themselves shine. So you gotta shine because the whole world out here is telling you and trying to take your light from you. The whole world. That's how I feel. The world is trying to dim your light, take it from you, turn it off. I don't know. No, no, no. Words have power. Words have power. And if you look at the definition of the word, I ain't really feeling that definition. I don't really want to use that word. I don't want that vibration on me. I don't want that on me. And I'm not going to put it on nobody else. I'm not going to say that to nobody. Be humble. Hey, man, if you earn your right to shine, hey, shine. I ain't mad at you. It's enough out here. We can all shine. I don't feel like it's because you shine, I can't shine. But that requires people to look in the mirror and deal with themselves. Damn, why I ain't shining at my best? What's going on with me? Why I ain't moving in my direction? What's stopping me? See, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to turn and reflect. But most times people project because it's everything is exterior. But we not, when you more esoteric, you more about, damn, where's this coming from in me? Because this got to be coming out of me. It's got to be coming from me. Why I'm feeling like this? I got to check myself. But that's just how I see it. So yeah, I don't be with that be humble thing. Nah, don't say that. Don't say that. You ain't got that authority. You don't have that right. Nah. You don't. You're not the author of my story. Can't tell me that. I can't tell you that. I'm gonna give you the same respect. I'm not gonna tell you that, but you don't tell me that. But at the same time, like I said, you gotta have a good circle of people around you that's gonna make sure that you keeping your feet on the ground, you staying balanced. That comes with the territory. That comes with any and everything. Everybody got to be balanced. That's how it is. But yeah, people that's been people pleasers and people that's been, holding themselves back and, hey man, I encourage you to shine. I really do. I encourage you to shine because can't nobody shine like you. That means your own vibration. Nobody else is your vibration. Nobody else is your frequency. Nobody else is here to do what you here to do but you. So what you here to do, only you can do it. So that's now rather that's no matter how big or how small, but no matter how small you may think it is, it could be very intricate in the web of things. The smallest of detail makes the largest of difference. But like I said, I ain't gonna hold y'all for too long. I'm not gonna hold y'all too long tonight. You know, it's a Friday night. I kind of hopped on later than I wanted to. But if you want a Patreon, expect a lot of content coming this week. A lot of content is coming this week. I got a lot of stuff lined up for y'all. I already dropped some new reading material in there. Excuse me. So y'all check that out because that's gonna be useful for what's coming up this week. But yeah, man. You know, I just like sharing my perspective. I'm not gonna say I have all the answers or, I'm a mentor or whatever the case may be. I just share perspective, and I just hope my perspective can provide you with some insight. Because like I say, man, I really don't know your story. Nobody don't know your story but you. See, that's the thing about fear, and that's the thing about the stories that we tell ourselves. Like we're storytellers in our mind. So whatever story you're telling yourself is the story. That's what's gonna continue to play out in your life. So when you're ready to change it, you got to tell yourself another story. That means you have to think different thoughts. That means you have to feed different thoughts. That's how you have to do that. You got to tell yourself another story. You're the author of your story. That's the authority in you. That's your inner light. That's your inner sun. But sometimes deep down, we know there's certain things that we have to do in order to see sometimes, and that comes with knowing yourself. That comes with different means of understanding your habits, your patterns, things that was inherited to you, things that was handed down to you. certain energetic patterns you have. And you can look at this in your numerology. I don't know if you do in human design, if you in cardology, if you went to astrology, any of those methods will provide you with insight about that. So like for instance, in astrology, that's gonna be in your Saturn. So your Saturn is gonna tell you in what ways you feel that you have to mature in order to reward yourself. Change the dream, like lucid dreaming. So that's in waking up. See, waking up is in waking up into realizing that you in a dream. So when you recognize you in a dream, it's like a lucid dream. So in a lucid dream, you control the dream because that's your mind. I appreciate you. I am Barry. I am Barry. I appreciate you for buying a badge. I appreciate all the subscribers and anybody out there that's bought any badges. I appreciate y'all. But I got some breakdowns coming where we're going to talk about the different intelligences within the mind, because you have different ways of interpreting in your mind. Some people look at it like the right and left brain. So we can look at that as your innate intelligence versus, your logic reasoning intelligence. And so there's different means of how things are interpreted within different parts of your mind. So that's why in ancient Kemet, or in ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, that's why they do hieroglyphs. That's the point of the hieroglyphs, because the hieroglyphs, the imagery speaks to a different form, different intelligence within your mind, a different brain within your mind. So therefore, it's activating different parts of you, therefore that's lying dormant within your mind. That's the whole point of all symbology. Every symbol that you see is speaking to a different part of your mind. So when you know that, you understand that those that know that is speaking to your mind without you knowing it. It's like the Manchurian candidate. Or it's like, how you'll see when they say certain words and people change and you give them a command. It's kind of like that same thing, because that's what it does. Those symbols can evoke commands within your mind. So when you don't have awareness, the less the awareness that you have, the more easier it is to be penetrable in people's minds. So that's why people have certain ideas embedded within them that they can't understand. So for some people, there's different things. We might say, oh, well, it's the music, or it's the video games, or it's the whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, because like we done said before, you have certain epigenetics, so you have certain things within your environment that trigger you to make decisions a certain way. You might be making the same decision that your grandmother made, or that your great grandmama made, or your daddy made, and your granddaddy made. And it's all in essence, it's causing the cycle. That's what we call generational trauma, or generational cycles, or breaking generational cycles. We find ourselves in the same situations, making the same choices over again. You see it all the time in families. It's epigenetics. Now some people are going to tell you that come from the food we eat, or the different things we put into our bodies. Like I say, some people might say it's from the music. It might be from the cell phones. Honestly and truly, it's a multitude of all of these things. So it's like you have so many things coming at your mind all the time, trying to take your mind. It's like on They Live. Watch They Live. They Live is on Tubi. Everything is just subtly trying to tell you just very specific commands. Consume. You know what I'm saying? Obey. Things of that nature. Look at the movie. It's the same thing. So that's what all of these different symbols, I'm trying to tell y'all, listen, it's about occultists that run the world, because they understand energy. So if you can study energy, and if you can understand energy, then you can understand everything that's going on around you. And when you understand what's going on around you, that's like how you are awake. That's pretty much being awake in the matrix, because you can't escape it in a sense. You can't really escape it, because you hear. You understand? You hear. So you got to understand how all of these things is coming at you, because still you have a purpose in being here. The whole thing is to deter you from your purpose. But you have a purpose in being here. And it's always the same story. but they just gave it to you in a sense for you to seek it outside yourself. But in actuality, it's within you. It's supposed to happen in you. We literally just watched They Live probably about 4 days ago. And I was like, man, this movie hits even now, 2023. And it's a lot of movies that's like that. But like I say, it's a language. Everything is a certain language. And I'm gonna break this down for y'all because it's very, very intricate in how it's done. But the ancients understood this. That's why I said that's why they got hieroglyphs. Everything. So when people tell you the spell is in the language, it really is in the language. Like it's word magic. It spells in the words, man. It's literally spells in the language because when you hear certain words or see certain words, certain phrases, it automatically provides certain imagery within your mind. That's why I hate to say the word God, because everybody has a very specific idea and personal attachment to what they think that is. And when you don't fit what they think that is within that, then they usually get triggered or they have a problem with it, unless you're dealing with somebody who's just more open, which some people are more open to it, but not everybody. Not everybody is open to it like that. So that's why I don't like to use that word, but I have to meet people where they at. You know what I'm saying? I have to meet people where they at. But again, it's such a incorrect assessment of what is. That's why I don't like to use the word, because it's so personified. I just don't view it that way, but most people do. So when my ideology don't fit into that box, it makes people uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? It makes people uncomfortable. What do you say when you pray? What you mean, like at the end? Is that what you mean? Like at the end, amen or amen, that's just still the hidden force. That's the hidden energy. It's just different. It's just psychic energy going towards whatever. You got to think about, people pray to all different type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty much it's all about the energy at the end of the day. It's all about the energy. But that's why I really don't like to. But you have to meet people where they at. You have to meet people where they are at the end of the day. So it kind of is what it is. And it's just so it's people have different ideas, man. You can only it's like I say, imagine if you teaching calculus, right? Like, you have to learn so much before you get to calculus. So I can't sit down with somebody who don't know math and try and teach them calculus at regular introductory. I can't do it. I'm gonna have to go back and say, well, this right here is I have to go all the way back to the basics, the foundation. So that's why, like, I don't like these little short, little addictive videos, because it's just so much more into it. You know what I'm saying? It's so much more that comes with it. So peace, peace, peace. Oh, you saying like at the start? Oh, well, I mean, I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. So I talk like I talk to myself. Because, I mean, think about it. Like, what do you hear? Who hears it? Who hears what you say? Who knows? Who is you? It's you. So I talk like I talk to myself. That's how I do. And that's just like that Morgan Freeman post. A lot of people can't understand that post. But now, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of people who understand exactly what it is, but a lot of people can't understand that post. And that's okay. I can't explain it to them. It might not be for them to get it this time. They might not supposed to get it this time. Or maybe they won't understand it for another few years or whatever the case may be. But for those who meant to understand it and meant to get it, hey, they're going to get it. That's who it's for. But yeah, they can't understand because, they have a certain certain small little box on what that is and what that has to be, you know. We are speaking to the higher self, absolutely. Yeah. No, I thought we were moving to TikTok. Oh yeah, I'm gonna start doing some lives on TikTok. This was already planned though. Oh, this was already planned. You know, this was already planned. We was gonna talk about this. We was gonna talk about this on here. But yeah, if y'all on TikTok, y'all follow me on TikTok. Called The Squeeze. Show the Twin Towers being crushed. Oh, I'm not familiar with that. I'm gonna have to check it out. So you said a movie poster shows the Twin Towers being crushed. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. But yeah, so it's 10. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I'm gonna save this live so y'all can check it out later. If you missed anything, you can go back and replay it on it. But I recommend that y'all check out, if y'all found the movie interesting, if y'all found this live interesting, to check out the whole YouTube video talking about this movie. It's called Dr. Sleep, The Power of the Quantum Mind. It's on my page. I shared it in my story, so you should see the link in the story. But check that out, because it's every segment of the movie we talk about on that breakdown. So that's the one. If you really, got into that movie, if you really find the topics that we talking about now, if you really find that interesting and you want to dig deeper, then you definitely want to get on there. Yeah, Joe, it is. Peace, Joe. Peace. Lord Jaffe, appreciate the badges. Thank you, thank you. Peace and love, good vibe. Peace, peace, peace. But yeah, so I look forward to hopping on with y'all. I need to do more lives anyway. I'm not good at this, y'all. I don't like face to face thing. It took me forever just to do regular videos. It took me forever just to do regular videos, man. So, lives is I'm still trying to work my way in there, you know what I'm saying? I'm such an introvert. I don't like it. I don't like being on, face to face, but I know I should do it more. I got to do it more because I am trying to get more actively into doing this, and we're working on a third book. So that's going to be a big thing. I want y'all to know that we are working on the third book. The third book is coming. So the 72 Demons of the Mind. What about like the 72 Demons of the Mind? That's the Goetian. The Lesser Keys of Solomon. That's pretty much the 72 Demons of the Mind. It's like 72 different chakras inside of your pineal gland chakra. So, when it comes to demons and all that was kind of created to cause a rift politically. That was like a political cause. So I got this whole breakdown called an introduction to a cult, where it goes back into like, how the whole how all this came about with this whole occult thing from their whole, type of historical view of the occult and how everything kind of fell in line. And what you notice when you really look at it historically, what started to happen was when they started to take from the indigenous peoples and all of that all over the whole world, everywhere. So they had to like pretty much like it's pretty much like they cast all their religions, everything affiliated with it, like to the underworld and made it demonic. So it's about energy. That's why I'm so big on people understanding energy, because all this is just energy. All they did was created this whole thing within our mind. That's why the Freemasons had a checkerboard. The checkerboard is symbolic to the dual polarity consciousness that we live in. So what has happened is, because that's a real science and how this actual world is built on, because occultists run the world, that black and white is literal in our minds. You have the black and the white race, so to speak, pretty much. It's always duking it out. And as long as you caught up in that state of thinking, this or that, like, you can never ascend up to see everything that you're supposed to see. So it's a massive distraction tool. If you really get to the deepest roots of it, it's a massive divisive tool to keep you yourself split. It's to split you, because to keep you from the other side of yourself. That's why I'm big on shadow work. That's all shadow work really is. Shadow work is just psychologically saying, what religion is psychologically is just a different approach to what we know as religion, because psychology is just a new science. It's based off of what they studied in the mystics. So everything that the mystic people was talking about, your sociologists are now talking about. That's what your microphysicists are talking about. These are the highest forms of science. They are just now coming to terms and trying to able to understand some of the things that the mystic ancient people was talking about. So all psychology is just shadow work. It's just an approach of shadow work. It's just understanding that there's a part of you that has been cast as bad, and that comes from however you lived in your childhood. Whatever you felt like you could not express in your person, because it will make you feel not loved or not nurtured or unable to be feel safe. You hid that shit in the shadow parts of your psyche. You was a little child. Your character and personality hadn't even developed yet. It doesn't develop really until you're like 7 years old. So all of those formative years is the forming of your shadow. This is outside of your control. You don't have no say so in how you went about, how your caregivers related to you. None of that. It was purely primal reaction. So based on however people receive you in your environment tends to determine how your shadow is, i.e. your lower nature or your devil or the dark side of you, the shadow side of you. Same thing. Your ego in essence is everything that you get praise for, everything that you get light and love for. It's what you want to feed, it's what you want to, but it also comes from the part of your mind that cannot see oneness, it cannot see wholeness. So therefore it separates. And because it separates, you can't truly be in your whole self. That's why you gotta do the work in both parts of yourself. That's why too much light is just as blinding as darkness. You can't be stuck in your light either, because eventually you're going to hit that switch and get stuck in your lower self. That's how people be ending up snapping sometimes, because they suppress. You feel me? But that's another conversation for another time that we're going to get into another time. But in the meantime, check out my YouTube. I talk about a lot of this stuff on the YouTube. If you want a Patreon, a lot of this stuff is in the Patreon. You just might kind of have to go check it out, go look back, but it's all there. I really talk about a lot of this stuff in detail. And I'm going to keep talking about it because my thing is to demystify, to take the taboo out. We have so many taboos caught up in so many things. That's why I made the ritual post. Yo, we do rituals all the time, bro. So you ain't got to hear the word ritual and just automatically be on some, oh, it's dark native. No, we do it all the time, like literally all the time. So in anything habitual or routine. So you got to check your rituals, because some of y'all have rituals working with demonic forces, because y'all are continuing to do things that's leading you to self-destructive habits. That shit is demonic. That's all being demonic is. When you have rituals or when you have habitual patterns that's self-destructive and you can't figure out why this keep happening to you and why you keep making this same old thing because you don't know how to get that off of you, that's what that is. But we just fear what we don't understand. But this shit is just energy. It's just energy. If we study energy, we would know this. But they don't want you to understand none of this because it's way easier to control the masses when you don't know nothing. It's way easier to control the masses when they scared of themselves at the end of the day. But anyway, that's it, because I'm going to keep on talking. Y'all know I will keep on talking about it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate all the badges. I appreciate all the hearts and all the shares. If you found this helpful, share it with somebody else. I'm rolling out. Peace.